I watched the funeral service for one of the fallen police officers in New York City that was televised live from St. Patrick's Cathedral. I did so because I care a lot about law enforcement personnel. I have served as a chaplain for the Sheriff's Department and the Fire Department on Vashon Island for over 20 years now. I have known countless police officers and sheriff's deputies, and even counted among my dear friends a sheriff over these years. Although my job has been limited, partly due to COVID, but also because I live on a small island and I'm not called as often as chaplains would be elsewhere, I have done this all these years because of my love and honor of law enforcement personnel. I have been very troubled, as probably most Americans have, with calls to defund police. With a skyrocketing crime that we have all across the country, especially in some cities, I, like other Americans, have been very concerned. I know police officers who have resigned their positions because they just couldn't take the abuse from the public any longer. The demonizing of law enforcement personnel who have entered, by and large, the reason behind their becoming law enforcement personnel to begin with was to serve this country and to serve the citizens of this country, to make it a safer place for all of us. It's very troubling that some individuals who have called for the defunding are people that live in very expensive neighborhoods and have the money for their own protection, with their own private security. Well, the rest of us just have to be very judicious into where we're going to go, in what neighborhood or what store, and worry about crime. And then to see DAs basically deciding not to prosecute people for thefts or other acts of against the law because, well, it's not serious enough. So we're going to let them off the hook, which essentially enables them to go even further with their attacks on the citizenry of this country and the businesses of this country. Watching the family of the fallen law enforcement officer in their grief, participating in the funeral service at St. Patrick's Cathedral was heart-wrenching for me. I have personally attended way too many funerals for law enforcement officers over the past 20-some years. Many of you know that this cross that I'm wearing belonged to my late spiritual confessor and friend, Hieromonk Andrew Letton of Portland. He died, and his funeral was recently taking place in Portland. I miss him, and this is now the cross that I wear that he gave me, that was his cross, and I treasure it. I also treasure this law enforcement chaplain's badge from the Sheriff's Department. I treasure this much like I treasure this. It's interesting that both of them are gold. I treasure this because of what it represents. And I value the fact that I have an opportunity, or have had an opportunity, to serve these brave men and women who have served this country so well. And it deeply troubles me to see them demonized. So I call upon all of you who may watch this video to do what I do. Whenever I see law enforcement officers in the streets, on the sidewalks of Seattle or elsewhere, or in San Francisco. I always greet them warmly and thank them for their service. The last time I was in San Francisco, I actually tricked 4 San Franciscan police officers into allowing me to buy them all lattes at my favorite coffee house. And I had a photo taken with them in front of it, the Café Trieste. That photograph, which I have printed about like this and framed in our library, is a treasured memento of that occasion. One of the officers gave me a police officer's patch about like that, and I framed it and put it over the photo of that photo that I treasure. Every single one of us needs to make an effort to thank law enforcement personnel who are so demonized by some, and let them know how much we are appreciating them and how grateful we are that they, on a daily basis, lay down their lives for the rest of us. We have had too many killings of police officers in recent times, more than ever in my memory. I remember one time when I attended the funeral at the Tacoma Dome in Tacoma, Washington, for 4 state patrolmen who were killed in a coffee house in the early hours of the morning while they were sitting there filing reports. To this day, I am haunted by that memory. 4 police officers who lost their lives for the rest of us. Let us show our support. Even if you are pulled over for speeding or going through a red light, you need to know that that officer is serving the community, and you need to thank him for his service. So I ask all of you to please show respect to those men and women of law enforcement who daily set themselves the task of protecting the rest of us. Glory to God for all things.